This creek right here, right straight down from us, is making a turn where it's turning towards us then moving away. So the far bank from us, is that water going to be moving slower or faster? Slower on that far bank, faster on the side closest to us. So what's happening to that river, that stream right there? It's eroding on the near side where it's moving faster and depositing on the far side. So as we get closer down, look for signs of erosion on one side and deposition on the other. Right. Every group has a clipboard. Let's talk about what we're going to be doing here. On top right now, you probably have a sheet that looks something like this. It's called the Qualitative Stream Survey. Teachers, you might want to use this one in wintertime or inclement weather, or where you don't actually want to get the kids inside the stream. While you have time, look through it. It's one of the many answer sheets that we have to get kids thinking about the stream and meet the objectives of the stream study. For today, that's going to go on the bottom of your clipboard because we're probably not going to be using it today. Another sheet is going to look like this stream study data collection sheet. And this is the one that we'll be using today. We're going to briefly go through the things that you're going to add to this stream study collection sheet, and some of them you already know. For instance, your school name, you know, today's date, you know, the stream name. Who remembers the name of this stream? Rock Creek?
North Branch of the Rock Creek.
North Branch of Rock Creek. There is a little bit of a difference, thank you. Time of day, you know, today's weather, you know, yesterday's weather, you know. Air temperature is the first one we've got to talk about just briefly. In your buckets, there will be, there should have been, there will be one thermometer. And I did bring down some extras in my very own bucket, so if your group doesn't have one, come see me. Thermometers. Check the air temperature, take out the thermometer, and take the air temperature. And do that right away. Don't put your thumbs on the glass parts or your fingers on the glass parts. That will impact your results. After you've recorded the air temperature, and we're going to use Fahrenheit today. I don't care what you use, but we are going to use Fahrenheit today. And then you can start taking a water temperature. By the way, don't do this now, just keep listening. Thank you for your attention up this way, UGT accelerated students. All right, to do the water temperature, the little red bulbous part of this thermometer, you're just gonna lay in the water for several minutes, making sure nobody touches it. And then you bring it out and take your water temperature reading. Why are you gonna do the air temperature first? Because you got it right now. If it gets wet, you're gonna have to let it dry off for the next hour before you take the air temperature again. Once you got the temperature down on your answer sheets, the next category says pH. Here's how you take a pH test. You will come find me, and you'll ask for a pH test strip. And I will hand you, ooh, this is a better bottle. I will hand you a pH test strip. Now, it's a little test strip that looks like this, white on one side, colored squares on the other end. And you will just take the little colored squares and just very briefly swish them in the water and then bring them back to this scale. And you will look on this scale to find out where your four colors match up on this scale. And there are two sides of the scale. As an example, if I want to test the pH of my spit, I just switch it to the sample for just a second, take it out, notice how it's changed colors. Then you come back here and match up the scale. Where do all four of those squares match up? We'll check the other side, just be sure. 7. I'm a pretty neutral guy. Now, you would record that answer, but most importantly, remember, well, not most importantly, as importantly, we're here to investigate the place, not to destroy it. What am I going to do with this test strip now?
Swallow it.
You can put, don't eat it, don't eat it. You can put this inside a pocket, save it for a scrapbook sometime later, or if you don't want to put it in a pocket, put it in the bottom of your bucket. But it does not end up back in our habitat as litter. Any questions about taking the pH test? All right, moving down our answer sheet. What's next on there?
Dissolved oxygen.
Dissolved oxygen. Each bucket. Which bucket did you guys pick up? Each bucket has, I checked them all yesterday. They were all set, ready to go. Each bucket should have a dissolved oxygen test kit that is a plastic box. And we can share because we're a sharing group. But these boxes are filled with glass. It is not glass that is going to cut you if it breaks. It is glass that will break if you're less than careful with it. So, here's how we do a DO test. Inside each plastic box, there's going to be a graduated cylinder. Would you mind filling that up? About 2/3 to 3/4 of the way full of water. Inside each kit, you'll also have a box like this that is full of glass ampules. What is an ampule? I'm glad you asked. An ampule looks something like this. It is a sealed tube, and on one end it's a little pointed, and inside that sealed tube, there is an indicator. I'm trading it. There is an indicator solution. That little solution there, when it mixes with oxygen, should change colors. So all we got to do is get to mix our sample water with our indicator solution, and we should get a result, right? So here's how you do that. Put your ampule inside your graduated cylinder, and the graduated cylinder has a very rough bottom. It's corrugated, I don't know, roughed up. So I can actually snap off. I got to break this ampule, but I only want to break off the little pointy part. So I push down and pull back, and notice how I broke it off. Do not snap and pull it out. You want that ampule to stay in the graduated cylinder, and because it's a vacuum, what has happened to our sample water? Sucked up, just like the soda straw trick you like playing at. Yeah. Now, that's going to be done changing in just 2 or 3 minutes. Let's imagine we fast forward to 2 or 3 minutes. I'm going to trade you again. Now's when we match up our ampule with the scale in our test kit. If it had to match up right now, where do you think it would best match? 6 what? ppms. What's a ppm?
Parts per million.
Parts per million. That means out of 1 million pieces of this water, 6 of them would be pure oxygen. And that's what we'd be reporting on our data sheet. Just as important as getting our result, what do we do with this now?
Drink it.
No. Well, no one's really tried before. I don't know, maybe. No. We want to put these used ampules back in the bottoms of our buckets. And there's also, thank you, there's also, remember, a little tiny piece of glass in our graduated cylinder. So we're going to walk away from the water's edge, pour our sample water through our fingers to try to catch that little tiny piece of glass from the tip of the ampule. Sometimes it gets stuck on the side. See how it's stuck on the side right there? And again, not glass that will cut you, glass that will break. Put that little glass piece in the bottom of the bucket so it doesn't end up in our habitat. And all pieces of the DO kit replace back into the kit, and the kit back into the bucket. Any questions about dissolved oxygen? Excellent. Your data sheet, there is a spot for nitrates. Kids, we're not going to be testing nitrates today. We can actually look that information up online. All right, moving down then, turbidity. You got 3 choices for turbidity, and here's a simple way I like to test for turbidity. You get a very nice white corner of your paper, without knocking over all kinds of equipment. Stick the white corner of your paper in some water, and then you got 3 choices. You've got lots of sediment or very cloudy, some sediment or a little cloudy, or no sediment and very clear. Make your choice. Any questions about turbidity? Cool. Moving right on down the list. We now have 3 categories: stream buffer zone, stream bank conditions, and stream benthic habitat. What's the benthic habitat? The stream bottom. Stream bottom. Multiple choice answers. Look at those 3 areas. Select your best answer. Moving right on down, we've got a question about the surrounding land use. We're going to pick your brains about what you feel the land around here is used for and as. Flipping your answer sheet over. Stream flow. Oh, I'm sorry. Stream flow conditions. When was the last rainfall? And then we actually have a way to measure not only how fast the water is going, but also how to calculate the volume of the water that is coming through the stream. I typically don't do that. Now, when you are down here with your kids, if you're a math teacher, this is a great activity. It involves stretching out, and if you want to try it today, you can. It involves stretching out a measuring tape downstream to upstream, and we typically use the empirical measurements. I like stretching it out, 15, 20 feet. Having a kid at the top side drop a ping pong ball or a leaf or a twig or something that floats in the water, and another kid at the bottom, time how long it takes to go, how far it goes in 10 seconds. So actually, you let it float for 10 seconds, and then you measure how far that distance was. And then you get a nice feet over 10 seconds ratio, which is very easy to convert to a feet per second sort of thing. Once you got your feet per second velocity, you can actually calculate the average width, the average depth, and therefore find out the average volume of this stream. You guys want to do that? I mean, okay, you can do that today if you want to, if we got the time. I typically don't do it with kids because it is something that eats up a lot of time. And most of the kids want to spend most of their time doing the next thing that we're going to be talking about. On your answer sheets, the next section is split up into 3 columns. We got something called taxa 3, taxa 2, and taxa 1. On your clipboards, you have an identification sheet that looks just like this. What kinds of critters are we going to find in here? Most of them are listed on this sheet. And they're split up into 3 different groups. Once you find a critter, you're going to want to find out which critter it is, find out which group it's in based on this sheet. The first ones on the front side are taxa 1. Starting on the bottom on the front side and moving over to the back side is taxa 2. And the last ones on the second side are taxa 3. And record those names in the appropriate column on your answer sheet. Now you're probably asking yourselves, Mr. Granger, how do we find the critters? I don't see anything in this stream. The easiest, by far the easiest way to find the critters is to pick up a rock and look what's stuck on the bottom of that rock. Now all these things are going to be masters of camouflage, and none of them want to be found because that's how they survive. Some of them might be the size of a tiny pencil point or smaller. Some of them might be as big as your pinky extended or bigger, but they're all going to blend in very, very well and they're going to be tough to find. So, I'm going to suggest, easy way to find them, pick up a rock and look at the bottom of the rock. Eureka! I found something gelatinous on the bottom of the rock right there. See it? That is something we might be interested in. See a little jelly right there, bottom of the rock, stuck in the bottom of the rock? Pretty cool. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Not just because I'm not sure. Okay, now, so picking up rocks and looking on the bottom, great way to find the critters. There was another, gosh, I was thinking salamander or some sort of fish, but I think you're right. Another great way to find critters. Instead of picking up rocks, picking up a mass of leaves. And then just slowly going through the leaves that you might find. The nets work the same way whether they're a big net or whether they're a small net, and they are not shovels. Anybody that I see digging with the nets or scraping the nets along the bottom, you're going to lose the right to use those nets. Because if you dig with them and scrape with them, that happens and then they're useless. Here's how you do use nets. Find a little spot in the stream where you can put the net. And I'm going to recommend the bottom of the little tiny waterfalls. They're called riffles. Plant the net at the bottom of the little tiny waterfall. For instance, right there. The bottom of the net stays right along the bottom of the stream and now it doesn't move. You and a partner together can pick up some rocks up above the net and gently swish what it was ever underneath those rocks towards the net. So that once you have a nice pile of detritus, you come back to a safe area to look through the stuff, and you look through all the stuff that you have in your net. Once you find it, you're going to want to get a good look at this, and you're going to want to hang on to it for a while. So, this is when you use your biodiversity containment devices, like this. And to use these, before you find critters, it helps you to fill them up with water. And then if you got a little critter, now none of these critters are going to hurt you. They're small, they're tiny. You can put them on your fingers pretty safely and then swish them into its very own little critter condo, or you can get a good close-up look at it with some magnifying glasses and devices that we have. Now, as you put these on the ground, make sure other people are not walking around them or stepping on them. You have some ways to get a good close-up look at the critters that you found. These magnifiers are great. I could put a little critter in the petri dish section of things, use this scoop to put a little water in there so it has a little bit of breathing room. Now I can get a magnified view of what it looks like from the top down, but I can also get a magnified view of what it looks like from the bottom up using these magnifyers. Every now and then, you might get a critter that is a little big for our little tiny critter condos, in which case we have our critter townhouses. They look like these. You can put some water in these and put critters in these also. We're going to want to find as many as we can. And when our time is up, we're going to bring all of our critters back to this beach so everybody can see what everybody else is.